Welcome aboard the Dragonfly 36. This is May 2025. This could well be the most exciting yacht you'll see this year. We're coming to Denmark for the full Dragonfly experience. That's the yard behind me. We're sailing out the marina. We've got 2 days aboard. Come aboard. So we have really got some special conditions now. What's occurred to me here is just, if you could transport someone now onto this helm, any sailor really with a pulse who enjoys fast sailing, and they had the funds, they would sign up for one of these right here and right now, because it is, I think, the most rewarding sailing I've had on a cruising boat ever. It is that good. We are just consistently smoking along here, and it's really easy stuff. So to give you some figures, we're now doing 60 degrees apparent, 18 knots true in little gusts. We're sitting at around the mid-teen speeds, so 14, 15 knots of speed, and it is easy sailing. Yes, there's 4 of us on board, and yes, going through jibes and stuff, that does help. Doesn't mean you have to. This is on a powered furler that's code 0. Sailing with the spinnaker, it helps through the jibes, but no, you just do it slowly, slower. You could do it with a beer in your hand or a cup of tea, doesn't matter. It's all oriented around this cockpit. We'll show you all of that, but right now, it's all about this. It's all about this experience, which is phenomenal. It's so direct, that single rudder right beneath me here, feeling each little gust of wind, taking that power down. It is just phenomenal, this experience. I'm finding it hard to communicate how much I'm enjoying myself. And this is the upwind experience as well, which is pretty special. You know, we are still averaging 8.5 knots, maybe 9 in a puff, and that is doing 25 degrees apparent, 40 degrees true. So to convert that, we're on a 36-foot cruising boat. We're leaving monohulls behind big time, and that's going upwind as well. So still tucking under 100 degrees, and we are doing, you know, really easy speeds here. The boat's balanced. The power to weight ratio is phenomenal. It's a 4.5 ton light boat. You've got so much sail area, and that just converts to just power, and she just cuts upwind. So it's fun going uphill and downhill. You can see the wind has dropped down a lot more. It's all got a little more gentle now, but a good time to show you around a bit more of the boat. And as you can see from here, it's a cruising yacht. Plenty of space and comfort. This is a nice deep cockpit with long benches on it. The spray hood there comes up here, and you can have an extension which comes right over basically to where the winches are. You can also have a bimini which goes up all over the aft helm area. Below me, got some stowage. But really there's loads of stowage in the floats themselves. So it's a payload of about 1.5 tons on this boat. So plenty of stowage space. Put the dinghy on the trampolines if you want to. That's the typical place they put them. And then what's really neat here is having the lines winches all controllable from the aft area. So the aft area is really where you can do all your sailing, keeps it away from guests in the cockpit. So I'll take you through some of those as well, but the reason it looks as neat as it does is because they've built these bins in below where the running rigging comes out and the sheets come out. So all the tail ends can get nicely put away and they're not all turning into some big snake pit around the cockpit. If you're getting alarmed about that yacht chasing us down, that's Peter Quorning sailing the carbon version of the Dragonfly 40. So we've been doing a bit of two-boat fun with them, and he's solo sailing that. So in case you don't believe me about it being an easy boat to shorthand, Jens has taken that on the silver rudder race around Denmark solo as well. So 40-foot carbon boat, very high performance. Look at the size of the rig. But we're also similarly matched in speed. So this 36 it's got some juice to it. Anyway, further forward in this cockpit here, you've got the running rigging leading to these two winches. So this one, got your mainsail coming through there, up to each side, and this one for your head sail sheets. So whether it's your code sail sheet on there or your Genoa sheet on here. Oh, I might as well concentrate where I'm going. That's the only reason he's beating me now is because I just laugh, honestly. And then further forward, that's an optional winch, that Anderson there for the barber hauler line. You might notice also the jammers outboard there. They are for bringing the swing wing system, for folding the floats in and out on those ones. So you can load those again around the powered winch. And there's one other one that I want to point out that you should be able to see from this angle, and this is the cam cleat. So this is a really clever system. So to counteract leeway on this, you have all Dragonflies have a centerboard below this main hull. But if you hit something, they want a safety fuse in it, so that you want the centerboard to kick up and the rudder to kick up if they were to hit something. So they're on a spring-loaded cam cleat. So if that happens, that whole cam cleat pops up and releases that center plate to come up there. So it's a really good and cleverly designed safety fuse system. And the same sort of thing is under here as well for the rudder, which you won't be able to see from that angle, but I'm looking at it at the moment. The other thing from here is that there's no big snake pit of lines, because there's really deep, good bins designed into this deck moulding. So both beneath here and under this aft part of the bench, all of those line tails can be hidden away when you're not using them. And I think that's key, particularly with an open transom boat like this. Keep it all nicely stowed, not getting wrapped around people's feet. You can fill in this transom area with the same sort of trampoline netting here to keep lines, food, children on board, that sort of thing if you want to. Dragonflies are known for their swing wing system, so the ability to fold these outriggers in and out to the main hull. Obviously the main benefit of that is to reduce the beam of the boat to go into a monohull berth. And it's a very complex system, but they're one that they developed in the late 80s, and that's the technique they still use. But with this 36, what Jens and Peter wanted to do is make the system all composite in here. So you can see where the metal pin is, but all around that used to be metallic construction, and it's all now done in composite. So that saves weight, time, and cost really as well. But you can imagine the amount of lamination that is needed to go into there, because there's some serious loads going through that. Compression loads, 15 tons, I think. So it's a very complex but clever piece of engineering. And then you'll see, now we've got these outriggers out. What happens is the floats come from aft, they come forward, and then this trampoline system is locked in place as the floats are locked in place as well. And that means with that, the mast is also properly supported, because here's another thing to get your head around. You've got an 18.5 metre carbon mast on this performance version as standard, but there's no backstay on it and no conventional shrouds. So this is Dragonfly's system, and the backstay comes into play on each float here with that shroud support for that deck step mast once these floats are out. It takes a lot of thinking about, but it is clever, and it is belt and braces once it's out. So then obviously the benefits, you fit into a monohull berth because it's 3.7 meters folded, and then those arms come out, so that it's no longer as long, because it's about a meter past when it's folded in, and then 8.1 meters beam went out, and then that power to beam ratio is, you know, superb. It's just such a stiff structure. You feel the whole thing lock in when it's like this, and the outriggers are locked out. This trampoline helps as well, and that can take 500 kilos on this tramp, so that's where you can understand, you strap your tender down on there, and then you've got the benefit of all the space these outriggers give you in terms of payload capacity and storage space in there as well. Not that you want to load it, but it's a phenomenally powerful machine when it's in its get ready to go Dragonfly state. Before we go back in, we might as well get Jens Quorning to show you how to do it, given he's built 1,000 trimarans like this.
I'm going to demonstrate our Dragonfly swing wing folding system. It all comes down to an endless line here. So we have the outline for pulling out, the inline for pulling in. First, I take off the safety cable. We have a backup safety cable, so we can all sleep well at night. So we have a physical cable here that you manually have to release. Just load again, and now the system is open, just as a backup. If something should happen to the rope system, or if somebody by accident should open the folding system, this cable prevents the hull from folding in. I will release what we call the backstay. That's how we are sort of also put tension on the rigging on the forestay. So I take the tension of the side stay, so now the rigging is neutral, you can say. I'm going to open the clutch for the folding system. I just open this here. Now the system is open. I put the line, the pull-in line, on here, and all I do now is just pulling in. It takes about 40 to 50 seconds. And as we now demonstrate this, when the floats are out, they are higher, and as the floats come in, they actually go about almost a foot down and lift up the center hull to give maximum stability. So here we go. Now as you see it comes in, now the boat starts to heel over, and then the float comes in underneath, basically underneath the boat, and we have a marking here on the line, and now we can just close it up, and that's it. Fold it in. Boom.
Come down into the interior of the Dragonfly 36, and I reckon there's going to be a mixed reaction. To a lot of us, this is a lovely cruising interior. Considering it's compacted into, this central hull of a trimaran, there is this compromise that you have to accept in terms of volume with what people expect today out of a 36-foot yacht. Whereas some people might say, oh, okay, it's going to be too little space for us these days. For me, I love it. I think it works really well. Again, it shows Dragonfly have been doing this for a long time. They know how it works, how best to put it together. So it's kind of one layout only. You're not changing it. You're not suddenly adding an extra cabin or an extra heads or whatever. You have an aft cabin, you have a forward cabin, well, berth really, and this nice big saloon area. You can't change anything around really, because other than choosing your timber finish, your type of upholstery colour and that sort of thing, those big bulkheads, which we'll show you, they're not changing. It's all fixed in position. Best use of space is what you see. On this boat, this has got an elm veneer finish. Smells like joinery. It smells nice. It smells like handmade craftsmanship, and that we'd seen from the yard. They're good at what they do in terms of putting things together. It's some lovely laminated veneered woodwork. Joinery work is plywood with veneer on it. The sole boards that I'm standing on are a foam with a thin veneer on them, so it's very, very lightweight. I'm trying to remember what the weight of the interior was. I think it was about 250 kilos. Not very much. So then in terms of layout, what Dragonfly have done, they've built a nice big galley area. So from what I understand, that's their first, of this size boat, first full oven size. And there's plenty of stowage around that. Nice big deep drawers and around the oven itself, and then raised stowage outside of it, and they've got an aft facing fridge as well, which is really easy to access to pass stuff out to the cockpit, and a deep sink, twin bins in there. In fact, the stowage really is pretty good throughout. So you've got these sliding lockers as raised stowage throughout, and you'll notice the nice indirect lighting that's shining through these sort of louvered mechanisms. Nice bit of styling, because it's a pretty traditional looking yacht inside, but they've sort of done some tweaks. They've made it more modern looking. So you've got the big long hull, coach roof windows, loads of natural light, those big flush hatches helping that natural light, and obviously a lot of ventilation will come through those big hatch as well. Inner liners, we saw these again in the yard, really nice, make for a nice smooth finish in here as well. And well, while we're here, you've got a sort of standing small little desk chart area with a bit of stowage beneath it, switchboard there with access to the wiring behind it. Very nice. See how they put the electrics together behind there, and easy to get at the fuses, etc. And what's really nice, I think, is this is a good size saloon. It really is. For a 36 footer, I mean, very comfortable for 6 to sit around here. You could get 8 around here, but, you know, get a couple of families around here if you wanted to. A couple of things to point out about the saloon. The leaves of the table work well, which, you know, you have to think about this. It's a narrow sort of canoe-shaped body. So below me here, the chined shape of the waterline of this main hull means it's deep here, but then it flares out each side. So you've got it's tall standing headroom, which you get, you know, right aft by the companionway. There's almost 2 meters of standing headroom. Still loads of standing headroom here. But so that means it's tall here. So when I'm sat down, my feet are hanging around here. So they've got, below this leaf section here, it is a footstool, essentially. So I can fold this out, put my feet on that. And you'll notice this folds both ways. And there's a reason behind that. And it's the same with this port side one as well. So you can lift these up. That was just the metallic mechanism here which holds that leaf in place. There's a bungee there to keep those from falling over. And the reason behind this is because this is a saloon berth, or as Jens puts it, a perfect kindergarten. You know, it's a great little kids area, because beneath this saloon berth here are the fill-in boards that link up to here. So beneath those you just got the plywood boards which go in here, and then the backrests to that saloon berth are your mattress, you know, your cushion section to fill in to make a sort of narrow double, or one nice big single, or, you know, a good passage berth as well, really. But you can imagine with that all in there, you've got a great little cocooned section for kids to hang out in. Sole boards beneath me, they're all foam sandwich with this thin veneer on them, so just really lightweight. They use a really good mix actually of lightweight materials where they can. So the light boat with nothing in it is 4.5 tons, this 36 footer. So loaded as we are, picked up now with a crane. It's about 5.2 tons. That's pretty light, and it's not using exotic materials. You know, it's Vinalester hull and deck essentially, and lots and lots of nicely laminated individual parts, but very, very clever composite work. So using a bit of unidirectional fibres where possible for strengthening, and this is going to be a really good, interesting point to see here is this ring frame here. I mean, that's probably 10 centimetres thick, but the loads that ring frame is taking when you're thinking of like the twisting and the pressure put on from the outriggers when you're going fast on multi-hull, that needs to be like that. So that probably helps explain a bit why you've got this sort of cocoon going forward. You know, this again limited space to get in there. It's not a proper cabin with its own door and stuff. So that, I think, potentially, and the heads area is somewhere where those again that are used to more space might go, ooh, it's a bit tight. But anyone that's spent, you know, bearing in mind this is a coastal cruiser really, spent some time on smaller yachts, will know that this is plenty spacious enough for spending a good week or two aboard. There's stowage, as I say, raised outboard lockers. This is your only real hanging space in a half-height locker here with a couple of drawers opposite the heads. The heads area, you have to duck down a little bit to get into, but then you have a sort of seated heads area, obviously for the toilet itself, but wet room area to use sort of roving shower. Shall I demonstrate? Okay. So angled heads, and then there is a place to hang the shower up in there, but this becomes a wet heads area. So yeah, I mean it's not massive, but as I said, I think for spending a few long weekend, spending a week, spending a couple of weeks aboard, it's absolutely fine if you're used to that. And it's done very nicely. You know, it's a good use of space. There's a bit of stowage space in here as well. Outboard and a nice deep sink area. And then moving forward for the, what should we call it, VIP guest cabin? Coming through, so the headroom just reduces here, still got about 5'10" just before here, and then you're obviously into seated headroom. And you've got a double V berth. I can shut you out. So there is some privacy here. And there's actually good stowage. Again, surrounding this, in the raised lockers, there is a holding tank below here on the port side. You've got your bow thruster right up forward and the battery for that, and a bit more stowage beneath me here. But it's smart, you know, it's nicely done. Good ventilation from that big forward hatch, a couple of hull port lights as well. What more do you need? And then the owner's cabin aft. So sort of widened doorway. Oh, it's quite a narrow doorway, but it's wider aft. But there is a squeaky floorboard in this. They promised to address that, because you know I don't like my squeaking floorboards. But and you've got a little entrance area here, enough space to basically turn around, change, hang your jacket up or whatever, sit down, get changed. But the space they've sort of carved out below the cockpit here is really good. It's quite surprising actually, because you get in here and you've got a lovely area to sit here on this double berth athwartships. It's not quite enough room to lie down this way, but sit here, read your book or whatever, and then a nice big double berth, and comfortable as well. You know, there's not going to be any heeling pitching around here at all really. Stowage, a little bit on the small side, you know. There's, again, you've got raised lockers each side, batteries below here, and below the saloon berths you've got tanks and stowage, basically tanks to the port side. But there is stowage wherever you need it, and then you have to bear in mind the amount you get in the actual floats as well, which is quite sizable. If I've mentioned premium quite a lot, it's, you know, Dragonflies have always been quite premium pricing, but they're very well built, hand built products, and they hold their value well.
The engineering is superb, and we've witnessed the build quality going around the yard, hand finished joinery, that sort of thing. They're very well put together, and what they give you for that is, I think, value in terms of the performance and enjoyment of sailing the boat. You get the space, obviously, with the arms folded out, with the floats folded out. But yeah, in terms of pricing, this one, 36 Performance, starts at 535,000 euros 2025 pricing, and that's with the carbon mast, with your main and head sail in Elstrom Apex. So it's a good high standard spec. There are quite a few other options on this, but they're small options for creature comforts and powered code sail and that sort of thing. So with tax, it would probably be, the boat we're on, another 100,000 on that. You've got an optional table on this one. This is a resistor product, so it's made out of rice hulk, palm oil and salt as an alternative to teak or something, or sustainable timber. But this one offset, having the cockpit table, so you still got some walk through here. Needs something in there to keep your cans or cups of tea or whatever from falling through. I'm sure that will come. This has smart deck foam decking on, so this is something that Dragonfly have used for the last 5 years. It's proved to them it's been quite a good longevity to it. Doesn't get too hot, so a good alternative to composite decking for, of course, teak, and it's really comfortable as well. There's nice little alcoves in here to put your winch handles, etc. in. And then moving aft, I'm now standing on the access to the engine bay in here. So the engine bay is aft. Why? Because it's a trimaran, and a beauty of having a cruising trimaran is you can stick it on the beach. So in order to do that, if you can imagine with the centerboard up, the deepest part of the hull, you want the sail drive protected. So you need to keep that sail drive nice and far aft. So yes, that brings weight aft, which is not perfect, but it also keeps the noise and the smells and heat out of the interior. And also, if you can imagine sticking that engine block in the interior, you'd swallow valuable space. I'll open this up now and show you. So there it is, 30 horsepower Yanmar block as standard. You can have a 40, which is a bigger engine block. It's going to give you more torque, use less RPM. If you're doing, why you would do a lot of motoring on a yacht like this, I've got no idea, but it also gives you more alternator juice as well if you want it. Other than that, in here, obviously you've got access to the Jeffer cable steering, which is super direct, because that's your quadrant right here. With the rudder blade shaft, and you can see the blade out because we've got it raised up at the moment behind me. So that system with the rudder post here, and a full carbon rudder blade made by Marstrom in Sweden, who are carbon artists, is just what helps contribute to the steering, which I can only tell you is beautiful. So yeah, this whole system works pretty well, really, having that engine bay separated aft. Obviously no problem with access, and you've also got a bit more machinery access further down when you get in the engine bay as well. You've probably noticed it sports a lot of canvas. So this is the performance version, so this mast is 2 meters taller than the touring version, and it's carbon. They're all carbon, the masts that they supply as standard. It's quite a different looking mast profile, and it's a circular tube essentially, so it's really, really stiff. And they put these Ronstan tracks on there. The running rigging all goes through conduits inside this circular mast, and it's deck stepped as well. So have a look at how chunky some of these Marine 316 stainless steel fittings and castings are around the sort of shroud areas and anywhere the spreader areas that are taking the loads. It's very, very impressively done. And then in terms of this foredeck area as well, you know, you've got your longitudinal mast tracks here, nice and inboard up on the coach roofs for tight pointing, flush hatches here. And what's a nice neat little detail here is with the flush hatches, you've got the drainage for them. And they've used those, so they've got the furler line one side and the tack line in the other running through there, going forward, disappearing under deck, keeping them off, getting rid of any trip hazards there, and then moving further forward, that's going in under this sort of anchor locker area here. You pull a little bungee to open that up, and you've got a bit of space in there for some fenders and lines, your anchor windlass, and that's, as I say, your furler line, so that comes through that well under there, running to the underdeck furler, brings that jib tack as low down as possible on the deck. And this one has optional flush cleats on it, and you'll notice as well it's quite a chunky bowsprit. What that means is they can integrate this powered furler. I mean, it's powered as an option, but having that code sail, we've just had it rigged up, and that's what they do. They just leave it rigged up most of the time. But the other benefit of having a good chunky bow roller like that is you hide the anchor roller underneath there. So the anchor mechanism in there. We're in Scandinavia. So your bow to mooring. So this is me leaving the boat. You don't need a step on there because it's a nice big bowsprit. A few final thoughts as we head back into the marina here, the yard behind it. I don't want to head back. I don't want to go in. This is a boat you do not want to stop sailing on. It is that good. Yes, they are premium products. They are, you know, Dragonflies have always been expensive boats, but they hold their value well. When you have a look at how well they're built throughout, it's really very, very impressive. They've been building, you know, since the mid to late 60s, and there's a lot of detail and innovation and engineering skill that goes into it through the composites. There's 75 molds that go into the building of this 36. It's a complex piece of kit, but it is something else on the water. I've been lucky enough to test hundreds of boats, and I can't think of one that is more fun to sail than this. It is absolutely magic, and if any performance sailor gets the chance to get on the helm of one of these, you'll see what I'm talking about. It really is a cut above.